All right, peace and blessings to the family. Welcome, assalamu alaikum, once again to
Recording in progress.
this week's meeting with Minister Jabbar Wakil, Los Angeles minister. I am here to warm it up for you. I'm Brother Shahid Ali, also known as Afro Descendant Ali, live and direct from Mombasa, Kenya. Greetings to the family. We are here live. Welcome back again to the ongoing series with Minister Jabbar Wakil. I am not your speaker, but I'm here to warm it up for you. Welcome again back to the Muhammad Speaks news channel here on YouTube, where we have a lot of things, many things going on with the Muhammad Speaks news as a brand overall. Of course, this is our YouTube channel. Please make sure you like, share, and subscribe all of the content we have here on Muhammad Speaks News. In addition to YouTube, we also are on Facebook at Muhammad Speaks News, and then we also have an Instagram at Muhammad Speaks News. We will be joining TikTok very soon. That will also be at Muhammad Speaks News. We'll even probably go into a LinkedIn that will also be at Muhammad Speaks News. And please, we will be beginning to have a campaign as we will be offering subscriptions on our website, Muhammad Speaks News. It will be great value, and the idea is to bring news from the black world. As you see, Al Jazeera brings news for the Arab world, where we will be bringing you news and position ourselves as the news bureau for the black world. That is the legacy of Muhammad Speaks for well over 60 years, and we're bringing it to you here as well in 2024. So please go to our website. It's refreshed, and we will be refreshing it at least every other day with new content. We're offering 2 tiers of subscriptions, so please check us out as we will be updating it. And please support black journalism, support the Lost Foundation of Islam, support the Honorable Silas Muhammad, and support Muhammad Speaks News. We will also be offering advertising opportunities. So if you have a business, you know of any businesses, we're offering a very low cost fee for a subscription on our website, as well as our physical newspaper. Please email us if you are interested to advertise your business, and it also helps to become a sponsor of Muhammad Speaks News. Please email us at muhammadspeaksnews@gmail. That is muhammadspeaksnews@gmail.com. We're offering very low and competitive rates. Our website is something that is continuously viewed by many people across the world, and it is a great opportunity to get exposure for your business and upgrade your business. So if you are interested in advertising opportunities at very low monthly competitive costs, please reach out to muhammadspeaksnews@gmail.com and grow with us here at Muhammad Speaks News. And if you haven't checked out the website, please do so. www.muhammadspeaksnews, and a lot of what you will see on the homepage of the website kind of goes into what Minister Jabbar Wakil will be discussing today. So I just wanted to see if I can pull up the site here. And I hope you are able to, you probably might not be able to see my screen, but let's see. how this works. If I can share and do that, maybe not. It doesn't seem to be working here. So I will do that at another time. But please, if you go to our website, www.mohammedspeaksnews.com, you will be seeing the latest refresh of the website with the latest news going into kind of the post-election drama. And America has become a drama queen these days, hasn't she? Post-election, with the fallout of the re-election of Donald Trump and the loss of Vice President Kamala Harris, we can see that it seems that things are changing in America. And one of the articles that we do cover in the latest is, as you see across social media, and they're talking about crashing out. I'll be 50 in February, half a century, and and I haven't been in America for 3 years, so a lot of the slang just goes over my head. So, in part of the research, put out the article "Decoding Crash Out: The Social Media Slang Taking the Internet by Storm." So please check that out. Gen Zers will probably look at me and roll their eyes, but it's definitely something we want to be on top of because a lot of our young people are using it, and we see that vernacular all over the internet use, especially in the fallout of Kamala Harris. We also have another article that was motivated by Dr. Brooks Robinson, "The Real Cost of American Politics for Black America." And these are the type of things, the in-depth analysis that we're looking to bring you to our people, because we get inundated with a lot of basic level information, whether it be entertainment or sports or fashion, but we really need to do the real deep thinking things in a very basic language, reporting that Muhammad Speaks is known for historically, because we should know what time we are in. So with that said, The Real Cost of American Politics, shout out to Dr. Brooks Robinson and blackeconomics.org. And the next article that we're covering in the Muhammad Speaks News, again, mohammedspeaksnews.com. Trump lawyer threatens New York Attorney General with prison. Legal showdown unfolds. So again, the aftermath of the election and all of the drama with the courts cases and lawsuits with the president-elect Trump is still going down. So check out that article. We also have more post-election analysis. America's unveiling Black women confront harsh realities post-election. As we know, Black women were heavily invested in the election, particularly in in Kamala Harris, which were the largest demographic group. I think something to the tune of 92% voting for the highest demographic. I think the second one being Black men at something like 76%. So it wasn't even close. Black women, hands down, chose Kamala Harris, voted Kamala Harris. So you want to check out that article, Black Women Confront Harsh Realities Post-Election. Very good content that we're bringing to you at mohammedspeaksnews.com. And these are the types of things that we like our people to watch. And shout out to the 3 people we have in the room. Yes, walaikum salam, Sister Mecca. I see you. Yeah, we see that news in the Twitter streets there, crash out. So thank you for checking in. Shout out to Sister Mecca. great moderator across all of the channels for the Afro Descendant Nation, Lost Foundation of Islam. Sister, make sure you put your Twitter in the chat. Sister's on them every day with the live streams, with everything, pushing the message, pushing the program. So we definitely want to shout Sister out, and maybe we get Sister up on the Zoom sometimes and give her feedback, because her finger is on the pulse. She's on Twitter and she's engaging, so she sees things as much as anyone that I know out there. So go to MohammedSpeaksNews.com. And then another big one in the news: shocking racism resurfaces. Hate-filled messages evoke slavery trauma. So there was the thing where we were seeing that, and they said there was on HBCU campuses, and I'm in Africa, so I don't get text messages. So I've been hearing that there were some references to scheduling of cotton picking on slavery plantations received by HBCU students. So the madness is already starting post election. So again, these are headlines from MohammedSpeaksNews.com, that legendary newspaper. So those were our domestic headlines. And again, I'm not your speaker. We have Minister Jabbar Wakil coming up very shortly, who will continue to provide you information on the time and what must be done. So we salute the minister, the Los Angeles minister Jabbar Wakil, and all of the ministers of the Honorable Silas Muhammad. So moving on to the world headlines, and again, MohammedSpeaksNews.com. I gotta plug it away because this is the Mohammed Speaks News channel. Headlines: crisis unfolds in besieged Sudan town as dozens succumb to mysterious illness. And I don't know if you've been paying attention to what's going on in Sudan, but there's a civil war going on in Sudan. There's a lot of colorism and something that I call Yaqubism going on in a lot of places. And being in Africa, you see a lot of Yaqubism, colorism, things of that nature, destruction of the dark into the light and things of that nature. But something sinister is going on in Sudan. It has been severely underreported to the world, and there are dozens of headlines that come out, and the latest is a mysterious illness that is wiping out dozens of people in Sudan. And I don't know, wherever there's chaos, the devil can kind of swoop in and add to the chaos, because nobody is watching anything closely, and that's where the real dark things come out. So please keep your eyes on Sudan. I assume at some point there's going to be some type of refugee crisis that comes out of this. Sudan is a very large country by size, so we want to pay attention to these things. And for those, and welcome to those who are in, please like the live stream. Please check in with us in the chat. Let us know where you're checking in from. I'm just reading off the headlines from the latest refresh of the Mohammed Speaks News website. We're offering subscriptions, so please check in, become a member of that channel, like, share, and subscribe, as well as on our social media platforms. But visit MohammedSpeaksNews.com. Another headline going on in Nigeria. There was an issue where there was a report, I don't know if it was fake news or not, that there were secret mass abortions of kidnapped girls in Nigeria. So again, in those areas, in that country, in the northern part of Nigeria, mostly Muslim area, where it's a little bit destabilized, the poverty rate is a little lower because there are not that many resources. Again, a place where there's chaos, then the enemy has seemed to swoop in there and cause more destabilization of the area. The third headline coming out of Mozambique, the latest news: there's political unrest going on all over the world here, particularly in Africa and other developing countries. unrest, 3 people killed, where the military is going in and, the civilians are going in, and they called in the military, and it seemed that the military joined the protesters in trying to overthrow the government. And in a lot of these situations, we don't know if this was if these are actions of the intelligence community, or these are actions of the West, or these are just the people that are continuously rising up and attempting to have their own little Arab Spring, if you will, similar to what happened maybe about 10 years ago in Arab parts of the world, starting there in Tunisia, Egypt, and other parts of the world where the governments were overthrown. But some have said that these are acts of the intelligence community based in the West. So we're continuing to monitor Mozambique, and we'll see what's going on there as those protests seem to have been happening for a few weeks now, similar to what happened in Kenya, where I am, about 3 months ago. The next headline, again, this is our world news section, MohammedSpeaksNews.com. Again, we will continue to plug away the website, as we also have a new issue of the physical copy of Muhammad Speaks, but we are a daily operation here at Muhammad Speaks via social media, via the web. I am one of the digital managers of the Muhammad Speaks news channel. So, and shout out to everyone that's watching us, all 6 of you. Please make sure you like, you share, you subscribe to us here on the Muhammad Speaks YouTube channel. We need to do a campaign. We need about 150 more people to be able to monetize, to help the Honorable Silas Muhammad and the Lost Foundation of Islam. So tell everyone to join us. Check out the videos, like, share, subscribe to videos. We have great content from the Honorable Silas Muhammad. As much as we have digitized, we don't have a big digital library of the Honorable Silas Muhammad. So pardon me, you don't see a lot of the Honorable Silas Muhammad, but we're working to get it digitized so we can put it up there. If we had, we would put everything up here. So if you're wondering, why isn't the Honorable Silas Muhammad here? A lot of it is still on videotape, audio tape. We haven't digitized it, and we will be putting it up there as we get it. But we do have lectures on here by the Honorable Silas Muhammad. We do have lectures by the mighty minister of the Honorable Silas Muhammad, one which will be coming up in 3 minutes, Minister Jabbar Wakil. We have Minister Ahmed, mighty minister out of Chicago. Salute Chicago family, Windy City family. We love you. Minister Dewan Madyun, we have a lecture here on the Muhammad Speaks channel. Check that out. Salute our headquarters minister, mighty minister Dewan. We have minister out of the great city of H-Town, Houston, Texas, Minister Omar. His lecture is on here, Dem Bones. Check that one out. And we have one of our ministers, rest in peace, Minister Malik Al-Akram, lecture that he had done 20 years ago, listed on the channel. We also have lectures by Malik Zulu Shabazz. We have lectures by Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad, lectures by Shahrazad Ali, and the latest, we have interviews of Muhammad Ali, who is a treasure of the Nation of Islam. So please make sure you support, like, share, subscribe. We are the Lost Foundation of Islam under the leadership of the Honorable Silas Muhammad, and we are looking to keep the legacies of the Nation of Islam alive, well, and breathing. Check us out on MohammedSpeaksNews.com. And with that said, I will pave the way for the minister, one of the Honorable Silas Muhammad's good ministers here, Minister Jabbar Wakil, who will be giving his lecture, an update in a format that best suited for the internet, of giving you information about the time and what must be done, in-depth analysis of what we're doing and how it relates to where we are as a nation of people, our place in that. A lot of times you don't get news that is relative to us specifically as a group. So you see situations where you have the Democratic Party. They say, well, we have issues that are relevant to black people or politicians in general, Democrat, Republican. They just get it wrong. They're not in tune with black people. Like, everyday black people, yeah, there are black people that have issues, but abortion is not at the top of the list, right? We are impacted by those things, and we are sensitive to the needs of our women, but it's not at the top of the list, right? Crime, our criminal justice reform is not at the top of our list. Immigration is not at the top of our list. I know for the black people that consume Muhammad speaks, it's self-determination and reparations. And for majority of black people, whether they consume Muhammad speaks or not, they let their voices be heard. If you're not talking about reparations, you're not talking about anything related to us in general. So with that said, please keep in tune. Please stay in tune with Minister Jabbar. Minister, you there? All right. Oh, I see. I see you got that paper there. I can't. Can you just do a mic check for me so I see if I hear you? No, I can't hear you, sir. Bear with us, family. No, sir. Bear with us, family. Stay with us, those of you, all five of you. Stay hanging there with us. Make sure you like it. We have 5 people. We have 3 likes. Please just like the video, so we can continue to grow this here, um, while we get the minister on audio. No, sir. Bear with us, family. Can you hear Minister Jabbar, Sister Mecca? Hopefully, maybe it's just me. Is it? Can you confirm for us, Sister? Waiting for Sister to confirm. Maybe it's me. I don't know. Share it. Okay, she can't hear you, brother. Let's continue here. Bear with us, family. Mute myself here.
Testing one, two, three. Can you hear me? Okay. And let's see. Boom. You can hear me still? Okay. All right. Well, brother, thank you for your opening and for giving us the latest going on with Muhammad Speaks News. Let me see. What am I doing here? I understand. Okay. Well, we've got past that. I guess I won't need the microphone anymore since it's not working. Um, well, we are getting started. Let's move this out the way. Um, I've got something in the middle of my screen. I can't get it out, so I'll just bear with it. It's okay. Um, again, thank you very much, Brother Shahid, for getting up at 1 in the morning in Mombasa, Kenya, to assist with this um, presentation or this address. Today, I'm not so much in the mood to try to teach or give a lecture. I'm really feeling like just having a conversation, having a talk with you. There's a lot going on. There's a lot on your mind. There's a lot on my mind. Rapid changes are occurring. I'm looking at this national election, and we have just a few people here. What do we have? Three people in the chat? I mean, three people tuned in? That's not very many. Seven. So we're growing. That's good. That's good. Um, the elections has created a lot of division in the Black community. Many of you are despondent because your candidate didn't win and are looking at those Black people, Afro descendants, who voted for the winner, wondering what in the world is wrong with them. And they are looking at you, wondering why you didn't join them. What in the world is wrong with you? And I kind of see it as a argument over nothing. An argument over nothing. It's like having a fight in the family that causes us to actually break up, stop communicating with family members, stop associating because of this difference. And later you find that the difference that broke up the family actually amounted to nothing. That's what this argument looks like to me. In fact, like the Republican looks at the Democrat, asks, why in the world would you vote that way? And the Democrat looks at the Republican and wonders, why in the world would you vote that way? There are many of us who look at each of you and wonder the same thought. Why in the world would you vote? Period. It's an argument over nothing. The Democratic candidate actually made the statement, as one commentator described it, all in a chess with a chess out. Are you going to do anything specifically for Black people? No. Oh, no. That's nothing. And the Republicans, what have they ever done for us since the Emancipation Proclamation? Nothing. No thing at all. Let's get a little bit into the history of the Democratic Party and the Republican Party as relates to Afro-descendant participation. Obviously, before the Emancipation Proclamation, we didn't participate in voting. Wasn't something we were allowed to do. As a result of the Emancipation Proclamation and the 13th and 14th Amendment, we were able to participate in the election process. And of course, we are the most loyal people on the earth, in my opinion. We were loyal to the Republican Party, for they are the ones who put forth the Emancipation Proclamation. And the Republican Party was put on the map by Abraham Lincoln, the first candidate to be elected from the Republican Party to the presidency of the United States. Black people voted exclusively Republican. The Democrats had a problem with that, in the South especially. So they came up with a plan. The Democratic Party was responsible for establishing this well-known terrorist organization called the Ku Klux Klan. And the Ku Klux Klan literally terrorized Black people, especially the leaders. What the scriptures refer to when it refers to leaders as hills and mountains. The Democrats threatened and followed through with their threats on the leaders in the Black community, which was primarily the Christian preachers, and threatened them that if they didn't vote Democrat and advise their congregation to do the same, they would kill them. They burned their homes. They lynched them. They did everything imaginable to put fear in the Black voter to cause him to vote Democrat. Now, I say we because I'm part of you, not because I'm a Democratic voter. We have been voting exclusively for the Democratic candidate and the Democratic Party ever since, with no awareness of how we became loyal Democrats. And it has been commonplace in our history from the Democratic Party that they offer us nothing. We had the civil rights legislation of the 1960s with President Kennedy, who was passing legislation that was completed with President Johnson. And it appeared at that time that the Democratic Party was doing something for Black people. But I've got news for you. This was around the time that they had become aware of the reality of how Black people were expressing our dissatisfaction. We recognized that the children of our enslavers were no better than their parents. They were actually worse, more educated, more sophisticated, more dangerous. They have, as my brother, Minister / Senator Ahmed Sadiq pointed out at the marathon plebiscite voter marathon that occurred on Tuesday, that was hosted by Akoti Stevenson, who is the chief of staff for President Akila Mukaram of the Afro-descendant nations. Senator Sadiq pointed out to us that more Black people die in Chicago, on the streets of Chicago, than died in the Iraq War. They call Chicago Chirac. That's sophisticated, to cause us to fight and kill one another so they don't have to do it. They are very, very wise, very tricky. Got us believing we are enemies and we are brothers. We're fighting over nothing. Now, while the Democratic Party was exercising their terroristic will upon us, lynching, burning, tar and feathering, and then setting us on fire, cutting off body parts for souvenirs, advertising lynchings in advance, and people coming out getting dressed up to come to the nigger lynching. While this was going on, I am not aware, maybe some of you historians can help me, but I'm not aware of any action taken by the Republican Party to stop it. Nothing. So we are arguing, fighting, losing family members over nothing. We're fighting over nothing. And we have a much better option. And this is what we should talk about. What is it going to take for us to come to the reality that the best option for us to take is our own unity? I don't know what it's going to take. I listened to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, as many of you have, and I wanted to point out when I talked about what appeared to be good done by the Democratic Party, that what they were doing was providing you an alternative choice for the expression of your dissatisfaction or our dissatisfaction. We were so dissatisfied with the way we were being treated in the United States of America that we were joining the lost found nation of Islam under the leadership of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in droves. We were coming in mass. The scripture describes it as we came in hosts, which means an army. And the children of our enslavers were able to see that. And they knew that if we decided to separate, which is our true solution, if we decided to separate from the American government, it would really be bad for them. So they needed a more palatable focus of your dissatisfaction for you to take. So they gave you the civil rights movement. I say they gave you, they didn't start it. It was started by us being dissatisfied. Sister Rosa Parks was tired of giving up her seat. She was tired of this inhumane treatment. She was tired of this underclass system, this caste system that had Black people who had to step off of the sidewalk, wooden sidewalks in the South at that time. In some places where my father grew up, they were wood. And if it was raining, they had to step into the mud while a white child or a white family passed by with the head bowed down. She was tired. She was tired of giving up her seat after having worked a long day because a white person got on the bus. So she refused. She was dissatisfied, and dissatisfaction brings about a change. In fact, the dissatisfaction level for all inhabitants of the United States of America is getting higher and higher and higher. And dissatisfaction always brings about a change. We don't have to look too far to see that. Any one of you who has been married and divorced, or was in a long-term relationship and are no longer, at one point, you were satisfied. At another point, you became dissatisfied. A change occurred. This occurs on the job. This occurs in all strata of society. And right now, in the United States of America, U.S. citizens and their pseudo citizens are all dissatisfied. When I say pseudo citizen, I mean we hyphenated Americans, African American. They're just making mockery of us. They don't treat us like citizens. They keep us so ignorant, even with education, that we don't even know the responsibility the government has to a citizen and the right that the citizen has to demand to be treated right. We don't even know. As demonstrated, in my opinion, by our massive support for a presidential candidate who said with her chest out, she ain't gonna do nothing for us. So we don't even understand. We can't understand the role the government plays relative to the citizen if we could be satisfied with nothing. So I know there's a lot on our minds about that. And in recent addresses, I have focused attention on the mass natural disasters befalling the United States of America and other parts of the world. Seems like God is a little dissatisfied. Seems like Mother Nature wants to bring about a change. That's how it appears to me. And I don't, I don't, I don't want this to happen right now because we're not ready. But we have been told, and we know it's true, that there would come a time where America would experience so many disasters in rapid succession that they wouldn't be able to recover from one disaster before they would be experiencing another. We saw that with the twin hurricanes, Helene and Milton. Helene and Milton hit some places twice within a couple of weeks. And they haven't recovered from that. And what do we see now? Mountain fires in California. And like the hurricanes actually destroyed what has been known as sundown towns. Sundown towns are towns where the population have a reputation for beating and killing Black people they find in their town after sundown. And now when we look at the fires in Ventura County, California, called the Mountain Fire, those who are being targeted by the forces of nature are also the grandchildren of our enslavers with their big, beautiful homes being destroyed. Now, it's a wildfire, but the talking heads are reporting that the reason that it is spreading as fast as it's spreading is because of the Santa Ana winds. The Santa Ana winds are blowing up to 80 miles an hour. That they're taking embers from the fire over in this area and blowing them miles, 2, 3 miles, and starting bigger fires. The fires have covered about 22,000 acres. When it was 14,000 acres, I did the calculation to determine that 14,000 acres equals about just under 22 square miles. Now we're at 22,000 acres. And the report that I found today was that it was only 5 to 7% contained. Now, we all agree that the wind is a force of nature. When the tornado, the hurricane, the earthquake, the lightning strike, when these events occur, they are universally referred to as acts of God. And we have been warned. I understand now why the messenger is called a warner. The messenger is trying to warn us, give us a heads up so that we don't have to fall prey to that which is being brought upon the United States of America. In the warning from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, it was stated that there would be a year where there would be one calamity after the other. I'm hoping this is not that year. I'm hoping, because we are absolutely not ready. We're living in a day of separation. That means they're going to go to their side, they're going to go to their side, they're going to their side, and we're going to go to our side. And our side is not ready. We are not prepared for a calamity that impacts our community, where we are suddenly, just like that. There was one lady who said she was at her house, her neighbor's house was on fire. She said, "We better get out of here." Her house wasn't burning. 5 minutes, she was back because she had forgotten her cell phone. And when she got back, her whole house was engulfed in flame. We're talking instant. Are we prepared if something that created an instant emergency where we now, like was experienced in Charlotte, I mean, not Charlotte, but Asheville, North Carolina, and the surrounding areas, and some parts of Florida, where just like that, there's no food, there's no water, there's no house, there's no cell phone, there's no electricity, there's no gas, there's no transportation. The roads are blocked off. Or in the case in California, the houses are burned and the cars are burned. If we find ourselves suddenly in that situation, we are in danger. We do not have any emergency systems or structure in place collectively to protect ourselves in such an event. In North Carolina, it wasn't the authorities, if you will, the government, that came in as the first responders to rescue those people. It was local citizens on their ATVs with their chainsaws clearing the trees out of the road, bringing supplies, water, food, clothes, setting up shelter, bringing in portable showers. We're not equipped to do any of that. We would be in a world of hurt. So we need to wake up, pay attention. We need to start looking at what we need to do right now to protect us. I'm not dismayed. I don't want you to get the impression that I'm worried or scared. But I know the moment is serious, very serious. But when the Bible and the Holy Quran talk about these things, they always tell us, you're going to be all right. And we're going to be all right. What we haven't done collectively is recognize that's not talking about everybody. It's not. There's a slave and a slave master. The slave master is going to experience the judgment of Allah or of God, and the slave is going to experience the salvation of Allah, God. So we're going to be all right. But unfortunately, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad noted that the fire would be on our heels before we decided to get together and come to unity. I'm hoping, praying, we can do better than that. But everything he said so far has been right and exact. Everything. I want to share some videos. There's one, let me see if I can find it. This one really surprised me. I mean, it really surprised me. There's a lesson that we had that I wanted to share. Oh, it was okay. Okay. There's a lesson that we have that explains what makes rain, hail, snow, and earthquakes. And I want to share that with you because I want to show you that these acts of God are acts of the black God. We said it in advance. And we put this lesson out that explains what makes rain, hail, snow, and earthquakes. And when I decided to see if I could find this lesson on YouTube, I found a white man teaching his young son that lesson and high-fiving him for reciting it correctly. We have a hard time convincing ourselves to pay attention to what we teach. But we have a white father teaching his son this lesson. And I was going to recite it for you myself. But now I want you to see this little white boy reciting this lesson. What makes rain, hail, snow, and earthquakes. So here we go. Let me share my screen with you. Well, I'll get to it. Here we are.
Yes, the properly covered with the water, approximately 3/4 of the surface, done with the attractive power, but it should have electric speed of 1,037 and 1 miles on its right of the sun. Second, far up into the rapid to the environment, that's how increasing the Douglas one turned out to be here. Also, was heavy. She then changed the film back to nursery. Drops the water, drops light. Finally, got on the missile of his friend. We found out it's occurred to open in the morning, hungry, changeable. Butters mark shakes when it's cold curtain. And the problems with Mars doctor forms. One of the fluffy form it's not. This is now but this water is never just 6 miles from the Earth's surface. So we need to get back down on the planet. It's not get out of the sphere. With its high speed of rotating around the sun, it being impossible. But man,
You saw that, right?
I'm Arlen and I have generated millions of dollars.
Uh-oh.
But before that, I was broke, okay?
Sorry about that. Okay. So we've got that video. We have a Caucasian man teaching his young, you all saw the little boy, the Nation of Islam lesson. Think about that. Now, these lessons were given to us in the FOI and MGT class exclusively. But there was a brother by the name of Clarence 13X who thought that everyone should have these lessons, so he took them out to the streets and left the temple. But that lesson, which was not very clear by the young man, what makes rain, hail, snow, and earthquakes? The earth is approximately covered underwater, approximately 3/4 of its surface. The sun and moon having attracting power on our planet, while our planet makes the terrific speed of 1,037 and a third miles per hour on its way around the sun. The sun draws this water up into the Earth's rotation, which is called gravitation, in a fine mist, which the naked eye can hardly detect. And as this mist ascends higher and increases with other currents of water in the atmosphere until she becomes heavier than gravitation, then she distills back to the earth in the form of drops of water or drops of ice, which depends on how cold the mist was and the current it was in. There are some mists or currents, pardon me, that are real cold and swift and changeable. And when the mist hits one of these cold currents, it distills back to the earth in a light, fluffy form called snow. This water is never drawn above 6 miles above the Earth's surface by the sun or the moon because of its high speed of rotating around the Earth makes it impossible. Earthquakes are caused by the son of man experimenting on high explosions. In fact, all the above is caused by the son of a man. That's our lessons. A white man is teaching his young son to memorize that lesson. Why does he value that information that much and we don't? And it originates with us. That's my question. And I bring that out because we are seeing America being attacked by weapons they can't do nothing about. How do you defend yourself against a hurricane? How do you duck a punch from a tornado? Or as what's going on right now in California with these fires. You can't get out the way. You stuck. If it's jumping off, it's jumping off, and you cannot escape it. And that's what's going on in America today. I want to show you another video on these mountain fires.
California. This is somebody's home, and the tragic results of the aptly named mountain fire. This home, many other homes destroyed. In fact, several people hurt after that fire just exploded inside. This is in Ventura County. It's just north of Los Angeles. The fire started as just a 25-acre fire and then exploded to more than 22 square miles on some pretty high and hot winds. So to give you sort of a perspective of how large an area that is, just picture in your mind an area of about 400 football fields. That's how fast and how fierce this fire moved. So right now we can tell you FEMA authorizing the use of federal funds to assist in the firefighting of this fire. Evacuation orders are in effect for anybody who lives in that area. They are literally running from scenes like these. Fire burning right now north of Highway 101.
So as you can see, if you're in that situation, you can't do anything about it but to try to escape. This is the fall of America, of the United States of America. We must separate from the United States of America. How do we do it? I remember when I first picked up Message to the Black Man, and I had this section called Land of Our Own and Qualifications, where the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's opening statement is the unity of the 22 million so-called Negroes up from slavery is the answer to our salvation. Unity of the 22 million. We're now above 40 million. This was written in 1965, I believe it was. The unity, our unity. Well, if we're going to unite together, doesn't that automatically mean we have to separate from another? We can't be in unity with each other and also in unity with the enemy of us. And you don't believe that the white man is your enemy. So we have to make known to you and him our awareness of his evil nature. But that doesn't get us off the hook. This is part of the reason why I just wanted to have a talk with you today. I have been researching a hypothesis. My question is in Ezekiel chapter 37, them dry bones. Those dry bones represent the entire house of Israel, or as I would say it, the entire Afro-descendant nation. And these bones live. Well, because that's a hypothesis, I want to prove, is this the case? I've got my Schofield Bible out and I'm studying, I'm asking questions, I'm trying to determine if my hypothesis is correct. And I looked at one of the footnotes It says, having announced in Ezekiel chapter 36, verses 24 through 38, the restoration of the nation. Jehovah now gives in vision and symbol the method of its accomplishment. Oh, that caught my attention. I know we are here to establish ourselves as a nation. I know that bones are symbolic. You don't breathe life into bones. You don't prophesy to bones. Therefore, the bones must represent living human beings. So I'm looking at this, and then I see that it's talking about in the chapter before how it's going to be brought about. I went straight to chapter 36 and studied. Boy, did I find something out. First off, there are so many of us who think we are so good that we have come up with this term called holier than thou because of the holy, holy, holy amongst us. But my brother, Robbie, he frequently says, brother, ain't none of us good. All of us are just trying to be good. Well, it's confirmed in the 36th chapter. First off, it confirms some information. We're told by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad when in the making of the devil that one of the reasons we made the devil is because we had begun to cater to the weakest part of ourselves. And in catering to the weakest part of ourselves, we had begun to practice filth, indecency, and evil. And so what we did is we separated the recessive gene from the dominant gene through one of our scientists by the name of Yakub in a graftation process. Once the man that was grafted from us was made, he was then taught to do all the things that we had been doing, that if we had continued to do, we would be in a similar situation that we see today of the people who rule the earth about to destroy themselves and the whole earth. We were headed for that. So what we did was separate that from us and put it in charge for 6 days or 6,000 years. Now, I told that because here in the 36th chapter of Ezekiel, we have, and before I start reading, the word Lord is used frequently in this writing. And we have had that word interpreted to us by our teachers of everything, our slave masters and their children. We have learned their theology and their language. And in their theology, the word Lord represents the supernatural God in the sky that controls everything. However, When we look in his dictionaries, especially his legal dictionaries, we find that the word Lord simply means the landowner or the landholder. And that's not hard to explain. Every single one of us who've ever rented anything from anyone as a place to live, we refer to the person we are renting from as the landlord. So where it says Lord, I'll use the term landholder. So look at here now. Before I go there, Paul, I apologize for this starting and stopping. He opens up this chapter talking about how unrighteous, how sinful, how filthy and unclean we, his chosen people, are. A lot of us have walked around like we clean. Well, they already knew in advance. Not only that we are not clean, but that we would not be clean, and he would choose us anyway. So here's what he says, talking to Ezekiel. Son of a man, when the house of Israel, which I project to be the Afro-descendant nation, dwelt in their own land, they defiled it by their own way and by their doings. There was before me as the uncleanliness of a removed woman. Well, when we dwelt in our own land, according to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that was a long time ago, before the making of the white man. And then, because of how we live, look at what God said he did for us, the landholder, God. And I scattered them among the heathens. Well, study the history of white folks and the way they act and the things they do, and tell me you don't see a heathen. And just like our leader, when he was here, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, when he was our leader, he said, the only difference between black people and white people today is the color. We're just as heathenistic as are they. And they were dispersed through the countries according to the way and according to their doings. I judged them. So we were judged to be acting ungodly, and God's punishment or his judgment for us was to scatter us in many countries among the heathens. Are we, black people, scattered? Did the slave ships grab us in one spot and drop us off in one spot? No, they did not. They scattered us among all of the nations in this hemisphere. We are scattered in many countries, just as written right here in this Schofield Bible. And when they entered into the heathen, wherever they went, they profaned my holy name. They profaned my holy name. Well, again, we're comparing theologies, and the theology of our teacher, the Caucasian, the name of God is God or Jehovah. But in the theology of the Muslim, The Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us similar to what Moses told the children of Israel. And Moses told the children that Pharaoh's God is not your God. Your God's name is Jehovah. The thing that we have in common with those children of Israel is they were slave children and we are slave children. They had a prophet who spoke face to face with God, or a messenger, and we had a messenger who spoke face to face with God. Moses was slow of speech. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, peace be upon him, was slow of speech. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us the proper name of God is Allah. The personal name of God is Master Farah Muhammad, to whom praises are forever due. I point this out because we have a scripture here that tells us why God, the landholder God, is doing what he's doing. Because his name has been profaned. And when they entered unto the heathen wherever they went, they profaned my holy name. And when they said to them, these are the people of the landholder God, and are gone forth out of his land, but I had pity for mine holy name, which the house of Israel, the Afro-descendant nation, had profaned among the heathen wherever they went. The name Muhammad. First, Muhammad is the name of God. It means worthy of praise and praised much. Now, we don't have to do a whole lot of explaining about what is worthy of praise and what isn't. If you are providing a quality service for the people that the people need, and you're living a truthful, upright life as Abraham has described to have done, then you are worthy of praise and are praised much. If you have the name Muhammad and you are not, your conduct is that of the heathen, or the book here talks about the residue of the heathen, then you are profaning the name of God. And the name of God is profane by the heathen. He makes you think that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was a subversive, that he was teaching you hate. He profaned the name of Muhammad. His son came after him and said Master Farad Muhammad was no God. And he blasphemed the name of God in the house of God, just like the book said he would, for 42 months. So, and I remember a story. My childhood, my first experience with seeing a Muslim. And some of you can relate to this. I've seen this while I was out selling pies. I would be out selling pies and papers on the streets around this country. And I would come upon a car on a regular basis where the person in that car would be looking at me with such anger on their face, in their spirit, in their countenance, that you would think I had done something horrible to them. And the only thing I did was be there, clean, selling Muhammad Speaks. Well, as a child, I remember I was about 6, 7, 8. We are in the car. I'm in the back seat. My mother's driving. I had 3 siblings, so we were all in the car. And we come to an intersection, and there's some brothers out there selling something. I didn't know at the time it was Muhammad Speaks. They were dressed neat in suits. They were clean shaved. They were polite. And my mother was so angry that I was puzzled. I'm 66 now. I still remember the incident. I was so puzzled. What in the world did they do to my mama? Just got her this angry. Well, the only thing they did was teach against what my mama believed. It wasn't teaching against my mama. It was teaching against what my mama believed, which is what the white man taught us to make us a better slave. So why do I bring that up? Well, if seeing a Muslim invokes that level of anger, then you are not uplifting the name Muhammad. So we all profane the name Muhammad. In my Ibn Jabbar, I am returning from 3 years Class F time. Class F time would be the equivalent of going to prison in the United States of America. You have broken a law. You have been to trial. The case has been adjudicated. The judgment has been rendered, and the sentence has been given. While I was on Class F time, I represented myself as still a Muslim. My chest was out. And then last year, preparing to return, going through Ramadan, studying the teachings every day so that I could make sure that I'm back on track. I realized from studying that I had gotten so far off track that my conduct was so unbecoming of a Muslim that to call myself a Muslim was profaning the name of Allah. So you see, just like the book said, none of us are the reason why God said, I'm going to make you my people. He said it was because we profaned his name. Well, let me get down here to it. But I had pity for my holy name, which the house of Israel, the Afro-descendant nation, Black people in America, had profaned among the heathen wherever they went. Therefore, he's God talking to Ezekiel. Therefore, say unto the house of Israel, the Afro-descendant nation, thus saith the landholder God, I do not this for your sake, O Afro-descendant nation, but for my holy name's sake, which you have profaned among the heathens wherever you went. He's not saving us because we have been so good, we are worthy. And if you read the chapter, it talks about all that we have been doing. He does it because he wants his name to be good. And I will sanctify my great name, which was profaned among the heathen, which you profaned in the midst of them. And the heathen shall know that I am the landholder, said the landholder God. When I shall be sanctified in you before their eyes. So he goes into why he's making this nation. Remember, I went to this chapter because the footnote said he's talking about how the nation was restored. And I discover he's not restoring it. He's not choosing us because we've been so clean, so truthful, so righteous that we have earned it. No. He's doing it because we have profaned his name, and his name is a good name, and it must be held as a good name. And what can he do to prove that he's got a good name? He come and he clean us up. And that's what we go into next. He says that I will take them, you, from among the heathen, gather you out of all the countries. Gather you out of all the countries. Think about that now. I'm keep trying to show you the relationship between us and these writings. When we went to the United Nations for assistance and gathering the descendants of plantation slavery throughout the slavery diaspora, there were representatives of 19 different countries, slave children from 19 different countries we have been enslaved, that came together and decided upon the name of our nation, on our identity as Afro-descendant. And our beloved leader and teacher, the Honorable Silas Muhammad, taught us in June of 2019 that the name Afro-descendant is the name that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Master Farad Muhammad discussed in 1930. Thus, the gathering of slave descendants at the behest of the Honorable Silas Muhammad represents God gathering us from all of the countries and bringing us, and here's where we go next, and will bring you into your own land. What does the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says? Land of our own and qualifications. And he says that give me a moment. The first and most important reason that the individual countries of Europe, Africa, and Asia are recognized as nations is because they occupy a specific area of the earth. Second, they are recognized because of the effectiveness of their internal unity and the policies, and then by their enactment of international policies and agreements with with other established nations. Did you hear that? So you see how it all coincides with each other? These books, this is the Bible. Thousands of years before we were born, this was written. Then after he gathers us, what's he going to do? Then I will sprinkle clean water upon you, and you shall be clean from all your filthiness, from all of your idols. I will cleanse you. A new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit I will put within you. And I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you a heart of flesh. Well, maybe that's what we need in Shire Rock. Get rid of those stony hearts that makes this brother kill that brother over nothing. And I will put my spirit within you, and to cause you to walk in my statutes, and you shall keep my judgments and do them. Let's pause again. What is a statute? It's a rule, a law that governs a society. And in order for a statute to be implemented, it has to follow the rule of law. It has to be well defined. It has to be specific. And then it says, you shall keep my judgments. Well, if we go to court and a judge hears the case, let's say it's the Supreme Court. Well, when the judgment from that Supreme Court is rendered, it becomes a Supreme Court decision. Supreme Court's decisions represent legal precedent for how law is interpreted going forward. What does it say we're going to do? I'm going to put my spirit in you and cause you to walk in my statutes, and you shall keep my judgments and do them. Legal precedence is a judgment that we follow and keep, just like the United States does with their legal decisions. So it's the government we're talking about. That's what I want to make clear. And you shall dwell in the land that I gave to your fathers, and you shall be my people, and I will be your God. And I will also save you from all of your uncleanliness. And I will call for the corn and will increase it, and lay no famine upon you. Back to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He said that our unity, the unity of the 22 million so-called Negroes up from slavery, is the answer to our salvation. He says, you won't experience the famine, but the greatest famine in the history of the United States of America, we have been taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And so far, he's batting 1,000. There's nothing he has said that the time has passed that has not been accurate. So that famine is coming. But you who come to unity, you're not going to have to experience the famine. See if I can find my place here. Okay, and I will multiply the fruit of the tree. So not only corn, which is just symbolic of food. I will multiply the fruit of the tree and increase the reproach of famine among the heathen. So we're going to get food, but the heathen going to experience famine. Then shall you remember your own evil ways and your doings that were not good, and shall loathe yourselves in your own sight for your iniquities and for your abominations. Not, listen good, not for your sakes do I this, said the landholder God. Be it known unto you, be ashamed and confounded for your own ways, O Afro-descendant nation. Thus said the landholder God, in that day that I shall have cleansed you from all of your iniquities, I will also cause you to dwell in the cities, and the waste shall be builded. That's a great future for us. This is the reason why I say we don't have to worry. We don't need to be afraid, but we need to come to unity, post haste, because we need to, our unity is what's going to prevent us from the suffering. We have to come together as a people. And unity is something we probably should talk about. What is unity? I think we have a misconception of what unity is. I think that we believe that in order for us to come to unity, that we have to agree on everything about everything. And if you hold on to that notion, then you know what I know. Unity is impossible. It is impossible for us to get every single Afro-descendant to agree on everything. The United States of America has unity. They're united as a nation. Do they agree on everything? Absolutely not. Nor shall we. Are we going to all love each other and hold hands and sing and dance together? No. But it's not required. Unity is the coming together to accomplish a specific objective. If a child is hit by a car and there's only a few people present, a Palestinian, a Jew, a Black Muslim, a new Black Panther Party member, and a Republican. And we have to get this car up off this child because the car tire is crushing the child's leg. None of those people agree on philosophy, on politics, on economics. They don't agree. They don't get along. They don't even like each other. They're warring factions, some of them. Yet, when they all grab a hold of a bumper on a part of that car and lift, they are in unity, and they remain in unity until that tire is off that child's leg. It does not require love of one another. It requires love for and commitment to the objective. And on that note, I want to share something with you that'll probably surprise many of you. It surprised me. We talked at the beginning of this conversation about the calamities that are befalling the United States of America. And I found a message by a brother that I usually have quite a bit of disagreement with. And I agree 100% with every word he said, which means for the purpose of bringing about unity so that we would be prepared in the event that we get too close to the fire and we get scorched, we're prepared to respond. If we are not prepared to respond and we are unable to respond, then we are not responsible or response-able, irresponsible. So I agree that we need to do this. I'm going to share a video with you from a source you would not expect me to be sharing. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go.
God is whipping the world with the forces of nature, letting you know it's going to get worse. And I'm here to tell you, you haven't seen nothing yet. Now, many of us may not live to see the hereafter, to see the day when the power of this world is broken and a new world of righteousness is coming in. But try your best to learn and eat to live, because in a short while, America, America, America is full.
I agree with him 100%. And so my reason for coming before you today and having this conversation is to say, what are we going to do? How are we going to come to unity? The guidance, the blueprint, the example for not only how to bring about unity between us, but the effects of the positive, overwhelmingly positive effects of our coming to unity. The example has been provided for us by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And the work, the long, arduous task of completing a governing or government structure for all who fall under the umbrella of the definition of Afro-descendant was put in place by the Honorable Cyrus Muhammad. And while the structure is in place, and the structure does represent the whole house of the Afro-descendant nation, all of us, every element, every segment of us, it is simply a structure that must be given life. Right now, it's like dry bones in a valley. So let's come together so that Allah may breathe life into us and we can go forward and prosper and help Allah raise up and sanctify His holy name by making an example of us, taking us out of all of our iniquities and filth and indecency and cleansing us of all of it, that we might be an example to the rest of the world. I'm reminded of one more verse that I might want to use to close with, from chapter 36. I had closed the book, so I'm going back to it. He talked about, after cleansing us of our sins and iniquities, never again will I cause men to hear in thee the shame of the heathen anymore. Neither shalt thou bear the reproach of the people anymore. Neither shalt thou cause thy nations to fall anymore, said the landholder God. So what is that telling us? Once we're cleansed, we will no longer be the shame of the earth, twerking while saying vote for Kamala. How crazy is that? So we have a bright future. It requires that we come to unity, and it requires that we exercise common sense. We are coming before you with a plan, so be ready. Tune in to the Muhammad Speaks newspaper. Tune in to the muhammadspeaks.com, muhammadspeaksnews.com. Go to afrodescendant.org. Vote in the plebiscite 877, or text 877 506-2184 and type reparations. It's time for us to come to unity for our salvation. Thank you very much for joining me today with this little talk, the few of us that are here. And we need to get this message to as many of our people as we can. Thank you again for listening. Thank you, Brother Shahid and Mombasa, Kenya, for assisting me. We will continue again next week. Assalamu alaikum. Brother Shahid, are you there? Well, since brother is no longer here,